Are you two still together?
We are not actually together.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Geek-Dunk. Today we're talking Farmer Wants a Wife reunion episode.
That's right. We got everybody's favorite farmer, Farmer Ty.
Indeed. How you doing, Ty?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Everyone hates you. What the hell did you do to Megan, you son of a bitch?
That's right.
Hey, look, everybody's got to have a little drama, and apparently to some people, I'm the most hated bachelor in America.
Well, I don't know, man. I think Brandon might have taken that away from you tonight. So,
yeah. Well, we tried to have another farmer on, but they were all with their girlfriends. So we got Ty just hanging out with us, where it's dark, depressing, and lonely, unfortunately. Yeah. So,
and we ain't got Ashleigh tonight either. So,
yep, you're safe here, Ty. There's no women. This is a safe space. So
that's right.
Hey, look, I think
now
Ashleigh
looking
is
at
the
it,
best
do
part
you
of
feel
YouTube.
Reba might have been right about Joy's intentions?
So let's talk about this reunion. First off, we don't ever have a sense of time. How long ago was this film from, today?
The finale, our finale, the final day, was the Thursday or Friday before Thanksgiving, and then the reunion was 3 or 4 weeks after. So it was right before Christmas.
Wow. So we're talking 5.5 months or something like that. That's a considerable amount of time.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you what I want to know, man. Did all you people freaking get in a damn group chat and color coordinate? Because everybody except Brandon was wearing blue.
Yeah, the girls are wearing blue.
All you guys were. Brandon's the only one that didn't get the memo, man. Y'all let his ass out, I guess.
It's good. Well, let's see. Mitchell had on a black blazer though,
but he had a dark blue shirt underneath. Yeah.
It's funny. Wardrobe, they were always worried about us looking too similar, and it's just I think people can tell us apart.
Right.
Yeah, of course Jennifer Nettles is here, and we got all the farmers with the women, and Ty, you're just hanging out solo. Was that a little awkward, you just being by yourself there? Or?
When we walk in, they put us in a little holding room pretty much in every mixer that we go to, and before we walk out, they kind of give us direction. This is where you're going to go. This is what you're going to do. And you're like, okay. And you walk out, and, I saw my little spot, and I was like, look at that. Just a chair. I got my own little island right here for the reunion episode.
Gotcha. Yeah, so they go through the farmers, and we get to see Nathan twerk. That was kind of disturbing. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little awkward.
He's young. He's a young man. He ain't quite learned it all yet.
That's right.
He's got some moves. I don't know if Taylor taught him that or what, but it was good to see them two. They seem really happy together.
Yeah, they did, man. That was good. And he seemed to clean up a little bit, man. He shaved everything except the stash. He had the stash going, but the rest of his hair was gone.
So are you tight with all these other farmers, or what's your relationship with them?
Like we talk about, probably halfway through the season, I was like, this is a trauma bond. We go through so many things that we could sit here and tell you, actually I'd communicated with some people from season 1 whenever I knew that I was going to be on the show, and they would tell me things, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really think that's right. There's no way. And you just don't believe it. And then all of a sudden you go through this and you're like, yeah, trauma, damn sure trauma bond.
Yeah.
Definitely seems like a real unique experience, and I imagine it's stressful as hell too, going through all this, and then getting judged by people afterwards, depending on what you do. I imagine that's not that fun.
You really got to lean into the whole everybody has an opinion, and then also to to be curious, not judgmental, because everybody's going to judge what they think, and then really also I've thought about say Tom Brady, the GOAT, man. People that either loved him or hated him. If you're on the winning side, they loved him. If you're on the losing side of him, you just hated him.
Well, and unfortunately, you've got no control over how people view you, because the editing is going to be put in the side of you they want people to see, and so that's what we're going to see, right? So
yeah, it only takes one instance, really for somebody to be like, oh, to hit a nerve or strike a chord with them. It just gets them, and they're like, oh. I've seen something like that before, what they think that they're seeing. And, then they throw it out there, on the computer or behind their phones. And, everybody has a really loud voice when it comes to that.
Oh yeah, because I tell you, man, early on, they made you look like an asshole. I gave you a hard time.
Oh yeah.
I know. Look, I was going to try to ride my little donkey in my room tonight and get off of it, so that way that you knew, I sure had an ass,
right.
But I don't have a mini donkey, so.
Yeah, it was kind of like a hot potato, right? Because it was like Reba got some hell, and then it kind of passed to Joy, and then it passed to you. So, it's kind of interesting how that works. And then, people, as they come and go, everyone finds someone to hate on too, I guess,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of storyline. And, Brandon and I, for us guys, we know everything that's going on. And it's kind of fun. Like, I've watched all of your episodes. I've watched all the other episodes. And, it's fun to see how everybody perceives it. And then we know exactly what's happening or what did happen. And so, like with Brandon, I would talk to him, and I was like, "Man, like you had all that drama in the beginning, and a whole lot of it." And I was like, "But mine's coming, and mine was a lot more behind the scenes that wasn't put out there as much, and so it was just different." I told him, I said, "I think I would trade you for your on the screen drama any day."
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I could definitely see that because his on the screen drama really wasn't about him; it was more about two women, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, and I think he did a pretty good job of navigating that, actually. He stayed kind of quiet and, he just kind of...
The thing about Brandon is he's such a good guy and a heartfelt guy. And he's a great communicator. He's very well-spoken. He's going to listen and try to understand and feel what everybody's got going. And... a lot of people probably didn't even see that really in the show because it was like, ooh, they show him making these moves with his eyes like, oh, damn, that happened. Like, what am I going to do? But he really was somebody that wants everybody to be good.
Yeah. And getting back to Nathan and Taylor, we find out that they are still together, which is good to see.
Yeah. It seems like they're doing well, man.
But she hasn't moved in on the farm.
No,
is that a red flag or not?
I don't think it's a red flag. This, it's been 6 months since, not even 6 months since the reunion was filmed, I guess. Maybe they're living together now. Who knows? But I don't think at that point it's really a red flag. What was that? Maybe filmed 6 months after or no, you said it was like 3 weeks after the finale. So yeah, I don't think it's a red flag.
Yeah, it's still kind of early, but I don't know. I was hoping to see kind of an engagement or something out of this, but didn't get that.
That would have been good, man. Yeah, this show should just, I said it before, man, this show should be called Farmer Wants a Girlfriend, not Farmer Wants a Wife, because, we never see any wives come out of this, right?
Not yet.
Yeah. It's still early. Maybe we'll get some more. But, the thing about Nathan and Taylor, if you really think about it, that's a really mature thing to do, not to just jump in and like, hey, I'm moving. That's, you've got life to live. You've got responsibilities. And for them to be that age and understand that and really just take it all in. And also too, look, you got 6 months worth of, you can't put it out there to the world. That's tough.
Right.
Look, I wasn't with somebody for 6 months and I still had to, do my best to, not project that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah, and they do like a recap where they show the women on the farm, and then some strange reason when they get done showing that, they show Reba for like a hot second wearing hot pink. I'm like, where the hell did she come from? Did you notice that time?
Oh, I know. I was sitting in here watching it, and I had it, of course, I had it recorded, and I was fast forwarding through the commercials because I started it just a little late, and I saw that, and I was like, well, shit, what just happened? I rewound it, and I was like, no, what? And I was like, I'm not going to rewind it further. I was like, I know I didn't see anybody walk out. I was like, man, that was a big boo-boo by production.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
Yeah, it was weird. I'm surprised they didn't edit that out either. But
I think that was just a big mess up.
Now I know everyone's kind of waiting to see Reba because of the whole Joy blow up. So maybe they were just trying to show Reba is here. We're going to get to her.
Don't change the channel. She's here.
Yeah. So it was very odd.
Look, you say this is like the most boring show ever. So, there's a little snippet of the drama to come.
Right.
There
exactly.
you go. They got to tease you. But then they trot out Megan and Melody.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we got Ty here. What were you thinking when they came out? I'm sure you knew they were there.
Oh yeah, like we knew they were there, and at that point too, you know, the bond. I'm going to say the bond, and I'm not going to use the dreaded word friendship, but the bond that we did share through all of it. We all hung out the night of that finale, or like the final day that we filmed. It was a tough day, but we all hung out. We knew that we just experienced a whole process of emotions, and we came together and just all enjoyed, with production, because there's like 20 something people at each farm through all of this. So we hung out, we said all our goodbyes, and then like a couple days later, when we let everything settle, like her and I had a long conversation. We chatted. It was literally like a 3 or 4 hour conversation, just talked about everything. And that is like a bond and what a friendship is. And we discussed it all. We talked about it. And then literally every week we would talk, probably after each episode, like, what's going on? Like, what'd you think about that? But, yeah, they came out, and I didn't pay attention to it in the moment. But if you noticed in the reunion, the ladies that were with their men kind of had on more dresses that were long and flowy. Uh-huh. And then they brought out the other ladies, and they were hot to trot with their short mini skirts on.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course they ask you about the friend zoning Megan question. You kind of backtrack, and it seems like you would have chosen better words if you had more time to think about it. And I guess Brandon was not paying attention as you were talking during this time. Right,
exactly. So. He definitely wasn't.
Yeah, no, that day when we filmed that, it was a moment of, I was thinking the whole time, like, just imagine trying to go break up with not one, but 2 ladies, for example. Melanie really knew, that it was going to be Megan. And in TV world, they made it sounded a little bit different way, that she was really shocked from something else that I told her. But whenever I had to go through that, it was tough. I mean, it was for 2 days I thought about it and was almost, on the verge of like just emotionally sick, because there's no way around it. They talked about, talk about these moments, talk about the experience, or like, just go sit down and write some notes about what you think you might want to say. And I did. And I had all these things wrote down and this moment. And literally when she walked out, it was just like, it was gone. And my mouth has never been so dry. It was tough. And I thought, I can go through this. And I asked him, like, are we going to have to do this just one take? Or is it going to be like everything else where it's, we had to do it 3 times? Like, it'll probably just be once. It'll just be once. And it wasn't. And each time it was like, what do you kind of say? What do you do? We might need a little of this. We might need a little of that. And at some point, whenever that friendship came out of my mouth, I was just like, shit, what did I just say? What part of my brain was being such a shithead that it decided to say that word? And it was bad.
Didn't go over well with the ladies.
There's a lot worse words you could use out there, but.
Of course, I talked to her after, and I was like, that did suck. I knew it hurt. And it was, you could see, like, that was the legit reaction on TV that you saw from her in that moment. Like, really, we've been through all this and it's a friendship? And I was like, it's not the right one. And I explained it a little bit better at the reunion. You go through this process, and it's so much, and it's there. You create these bonds, and they are what you make them. For an extent of, I didn't feel that she was my forever person, but she would be a friend forever, because you share this experience and it'll never go away.
Yeah, but Melody didn't seem to want to let you off the hook too easy on this reunion. She kept kind of prodding at you a little bit. And matter of fact, I think she said like she doesn't like the kid excuse, which I thought was an odd comment.
Yeah, but I thought that was kind of a dumb comment, because she said that's not a good enough excuse to be like, to me, that's a pretty damn good excuse. If you're at odds about kids, then the relationship's not going to work, period. Just ain't going to happen. So for her.
Yeah, definitely with her, she's just like, look, she, like I just kind of stated, she knew it was going to be Megan, deep down, like she knew it was going to be Megan. because you do kind of have that flow with everybody, and the girls talk and chat, and so she was just like, look, why wouldn't you give that a chance? Why wouldn't you give it a shot? And not that they're ignorant to the situation, it's just the fact that they don't have a child, and you do think about things different when you have a child compared to when you don't. That's just how life is. And I told him, like, look, it's not just about giving something a shot. I can't bring Megan into my house and or hanging out and give my child false hope and give Megan false hope, or try to work on something if I'm not there. That's just what you do when you're our age, that you think about things a little bit different and how you proceed about them.
No, it's a great point, man. Absolutely. And as much as she was like, oh, maybe it's not a big deal. Her mother made it pretty damn clear it's a big deal. I mean, her mother told you, hey, look, she made it pretty clear that Megan wants kids. So at that point,
And Megan through the process, was like, it's not a deal breaker. It's not this or it's not that. But I watched a couple episodes, was watching them back on a different thing that somebody's doing. And I think it was the 4th episode. She's like, yeah, I want kids. And I was like, oh, I just never recalled, seeing that until, you get later in the show and the episodes, and then you watch it back, and then she says that, and it's just like, well, yeah, I knew she wanted kids.
Yeah, and I'm sure deep down Megan wants kids, but I don't know, maybe you find the right man, you give up some compromise. I don't know, but she is young, and you guys are just starting this thing, so I could see where that could be a problem. And I mean, that's
absolutely
important hang up too.
She posted a deal tonight, and I actually met, she's dating a guy now, and I met him, and she told me a while back that she was hanging out with him. I was like, good, I am, I'm a fan for you. I want the best for you. I want you to find somebody. I want, just as much as I want to find somebody that I can share this time of my life with. I guess you'd say this season. Being a little bit older than they are, as Jennifer called me, the most seasoned farmer.
I guess that's a nice term for being old, huh?
That's right.
Yeah, right. But that's funny. It's what you call it, like a rope horse that you've taken everywhere, and they've seen all the things they know, and they've seen all the lights of everywhere. That's a seasoned horse. So I kind of thought that was funny when I heard that word choice for me.
Right.
But where she's at, she just posted tonight, and I knew this a couple of weeks ago. She's got a boyfriend, and they're having a great time, and I got to meet him and hang out with him, and I was just like, look, I was kind of being a little funny about it. I was like, but what would have happened if I would have chosen her? And even if it wasn't for the real thing, if it had been just for TV, just for the sake of TV and a love story, y'all might not have ever met.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I am glad that you didn't just pick someone for the sake of picking someone. Mm-hmm. So I give you kudos for that, for sure.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a conversation at one point that somebody told me, America loves a good love story. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I get that, but it's not my love story, and I'm not going to lie about it.
Yeah, and like you said, man, you made a great point about putting your kid in that situation. I mean, if there's no chance of it working, and there's no sense exposing your kid to that. And that's, because me as a single dad, I totally get it. So that was a great perspective.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, and there seems to be a lot of talk about Amy on this. A lot of the women seem to really like her because she gets brought up quite a bit. So, and I mean, she was obviously on your farm, and she's one of the ones you were kind of hitting it off with. And then that kid kind of thing came up with her, and that spawned the whole, wait a minute, this guy doesn't want kids kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Amy, it gives me goosebumps just talking about her, and just the way that she would light up when children got mentioned, or if I was talking about Lennon. I mean, you could just see it. It was just that motherly want and joy, and something that regardless, she will experience. That conversation that her and I had, that whenever she ended up leaving, that was just a spur of the moment. She talked to the guys and was like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with Ty. I haven't got much time to talk to him. And we just started walking and talking and chatting. And next thing you know, we talked about it, and the kids came up, and it was, just a real, that was my dog. It was definitely just that real moment of an adult, real life conversation. There was not a second take. There was no, we need this or we need that. That was all real and in the moment. our producer was crying. A couple of the camera guys were crying, and they were just like, what just happened? And it was just kind of crazy. I mean, not crazy. It wasn't crazy. It was real. Very intimate and time that we shot.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely seemed like it. I mean, you definitely saw the emotion there for sure.
Yeah. So then the show finally brings out Reba, and she comes out with this like nice pink outfit, and she's got the silver hair going. She really kind of stands out there. What'd you think of Reba showing up?
You know, whenever the show started, like day one, when we were all there and we were doing our things, and Brandon and Reba were together, it was like, oh boy, I think that's gonna be the fit. Right? Because small town, you know, you could even see it on screen. Like, I felt like they were both kind of smitten with each other. And, you know, everybody processes this whole experience different. And for her, and, you know, just, it was something that, like, talk about, like, that experience with her and Joy. And she was like, look, if, you know, she said it, if he likes her and he likes me, that's just, something's not right. And she really let it just get her.
Yeah, she definitely did.
But it's not like to a fault. It's just that's just the way she lived that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was real interesting. I mean, she even apologized for how she kind of dealt with it, but then they kind of go and then they say, like, Brandon, what do you think about this? And he's like, well, you were right.
She was right, yeah. She called a spade, and she was right.
Yeah, she kind of gets vindicated here. So, and I mean, that was the interesting thing because people were kind of hating on Reba for the way she was acting the Joy, but then later on we kind of saw like maybe the real Joy, if you want to say that. So it seemed like she wasn't there for the right reasons, and it was like Reba called it. So
yeah.
Well, and Brandon has said a lot of times too, and I completely get his perspective on this. Like, as far as like with children, he has a very stressful job that is dependent. You know, he's putting a plant, you know, a seed in the ground, and he's got to do his best to nurture it and make it grow. And then so planting season is crazy and hectic, and harvest season is crazy and hectic and wild. And for somebody that he wants to come live with him has to be able to understand and know that sometimes things are going to be really, really difficult. And he wants somebody that's there for him, that understands that and gets it. And, you know, he's not coming home to say like, well, this happened today and I can't believe it. You know, not that that's what Reba was, but just what he's looking for is somebody that's cool and collected and calm. That it's like, hey, how was your day? You know, not a yes, ma'am, but just a, you know, I understand that you're going through a lot right now, but, you know, that's your job and I understand it and can appreciate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man.
Brandon seems like a good guy, but they get on to him and Grace, and they are not together anymore. And that was kind of like a bummer to hear.
And then just after hearing the whole friendship conversation, he goes ahead and pulls a tie.
I cannot believe he goes on to a rant about friendship, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Hey, he's my boy, and apparently, like, we rubbed off on each other a little bit or something. Like, I actually texted him tonight. I was like, you know, I don't recall you saying that when we were there. And I was like, damn.
Did he not see all the hell you caught for that?
Right. He just watched it. He just sat through it all, watching him get shit on. And then he goes and says the same thing. I was like, oh, Brandon, come on, brother.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see if there's going to be any fallout from that or not, but we'll see.
It will be interesting to kind of see like how the internet perceives that. Maybe he'll take all the heat that I was getting. But I don't wish it on him by any means because it was tough. It was literally like I'd gotten a lot of hell throughout the whole season, you know, at times, which everybody gets their own fair share of it from some certain, you know, way or another. But man, it was hard for me to watch the finale because I knew what was coming and I relive that experience. Like I am a feeler, like I'm a person that really feels the moments and the situations. And it looks like I'm pretty cold through all of that, which, you know, it's part of it. That's the way it looks. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, you know, that's not me. It's not me, but it really isn't me to a large extent. And to watch that over again was tough. And the next day when I got to read a bunch of the comments, it kind of hurt me for a minute. And then it's like, look, I can't do anything about the way these people perceive this. You know, they're judging an experience that they see on TV, and they really don't know me. So I hope it doesn't happen for Brandon.
Well, and like you said, I mean, they took several takes of it, right? So I mean, you had to go through it multiple times, and they're going to take whichever one they think looks best on camera. You know, I mean,
yeah, and they're pushing all of them together.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it with the Sydney one. Like, you could like the take that they used for Sydney, you totally could tell that she knew she was getting picked. Like, she walked in there, like, knew damn well that they were going to be together and all this. Is like, well, obviously that wasn't the first take, you know. So
there probably was. I mean, they might not have even had 2 takes because it was just that easy, right? Like, Kait knew. I mean, everybody knew what was going to happen. Just to be honest, you know, they make it a TV show. It's a TV show. They've got to portray a little bit of drama.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it's like that with every show. Who knows? But I mean, when you know, right?
Yeah, and you know, Grace is all smiles. She looked good, so it's just kind of a bummer they didn't work out. And yeah,
well, she was all smiles until he threw the friend zone shit out there, and then
yeah. So they just never really seemed like they had that passion or spark, though. You know, I mean,
you know, kind of the same thing. It's Brandon's a great guy, and Grace is great too. Like when the finale or the finale episode came out, like Brandon didn't get to make it and Nathan didn't get to make it, but a lot of the ladies were there, and we actually got to meet a handful of the guys from the first season, which was really cool to meet and hang out with them. But like I hung out with Grace and her family quite a bit, and you know, we kind of joking around. We're walking around Nashville with her and her family. I was like, you know, maybe I should just walk around you with, you know, my arm around you, and boy, that would stir up a bunch of shit on the internet.
I'm sure it would.
Oh hell yeah, it would.
Like, what's Farmer Ty doing with Farmer Brandon's lady?
Right.
Yeah, that's one way to get people stirred up.
That damn homewrecker. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah. But no, it really comes down to the same thing, right? You know, she has a great job that she loves. She loves her community. She loves that place, and you just know that. Deep down, as much as you might want something to work, you know, love doesn't really conquer all. You know, there's a lot of life that happens, and if you find love in that life, you've done a great thing.
So they go to Mitchell and Sydney has no poker face whatsoever. No. It is obvious to everyone, I think, that these two are still together.
I mean, Sydney, through the whole process, she's always just bright-eyed and giggly the whole time and everything. And yeah, like I said, there's no poker face at all, man. You can tell she just enjoyed it all, you know, and just is having a great time and is totally into Mitchell.
Yeah, and she was so giddy, like at the reunion we were doing it, she was like running out there and just so ready to go. And it's so funny, it's like a lot of people are like, oh, she's immature. It's like, no, she's literally just great. Like fun, loves, just enjoys everything that she does. Like, I mean, it's just kind of like what I don't know, it's just the way people perceive it because, oh, you know, she's 22, Kait's 23. There's not really no difference there. It's just different personalities. Doesn't make one immature or wanting something different. It's just the way, and they're best friends. Kait and Sydney are best friends.
Yeah, we're seeing all those Instagram pictures of both of them together, like celebrating Kait's birthday and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And then they both flew from California to Nashville, and like I hung out with Mitchell, the day of the finale, and they were there and got to hang out with them all. And
no, I mean, Sydney just definitely seemed like she's just one of those girls that loves life, man. She just loves life, loves having a good time, and you know, and knows when she's in a good moment, and just likes to stay in it. So nothing wrong with it.
They seemed really happy together. I mean, it seems like this one could go the distance, maybe.
Well, this is the one where they actually brought up the word marriage, right? You know, so I mean, you know, Jennifer Nettles, brings it up, and they're like, yeah, we can totally see that in our future. So
yeah. You know, and like Taylor and Nathan, it's. Watching the show back this year, I did a post the other day. It was like literally my top 3 moments of the show was watching Taylor with Nathan, you know, teach him how to the golf swing. And she's like, oh, you know, like it just got her. And I was like, oh man, like that's so sweet. And then when they're doing their their solo date that they had, and she says, you know, this is the best date I've ever been on. He was like, shut up. Say that again. Like, you swear?
Yeah, that was a good moment. That was an awesome moment.
Yeah. It's just so sweet. Like, that's you. Those moments, those are real. Like, you can just tell it. And like the moment when they had the hometown and they kissed. It's just like it. I didn't find love, but just even being a part of that and seeing all, their love story, it was worth it all. And we were giving, we actually did a little thing, episode, like it's called Sip or Spill. I don't know if y'all saw that. We were all together, like as farmers, and they asked us who's going to get married first. And I mean, all three of us were like, we all pointed at Nathan, like he
seemed like he was the one that was ready.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And it wasn't just because it was, the marriage. It was like, we knew that he was smitten at that point over Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, for such a young kid, man, Nathan, he's very mature. He knows what he wants, and I appreciate it about him. You can tell he's very genuine, just a great guy.
Heck yeah.
I called it from the first episode. I said Taylor,
Yeah, you did.
So there you go. He took my advice. But Ty, you had 9 women to choose from, and you couldn't find one woman?
8 women, man.
Yeah, but they brought another one in, right?
That's true.
So they brought Ashleigh in.
Right.
Yeah. So.
All right, so you know what though, I do want to ask you this, man, because I mean, I think you probably got asked this many times. This is the question that most of our people, our viewers have been asking. Why couldn't they bring like single moms on in your group? Other women that didn't want to have kids. There's got to be plenty of them out there, right? Why were they bringing on 20-somethings and early 30s when there's probably plenty of women out there that are like mid to late 30s that have kids that would have been perfectly happy, being in the same boat that you're in?
Yeah, and whenever I, started this process of the show, I told him, I was like, look, I prefer to have somebody my age or even older, right? And just so giddy at the point, like you go through the whole casting process, which is really, really stringent and tough. It felt like a part-time job. Background check, like FBI background fingerprinting, STD test, which is probably the easiest thing that we had to do. Psychological exams, all these things. And so once you're like, hey, you're going to be chosen. And then a couple weeks later, you get to see the ladies. And I was like, a lot of them were younger. I had some that they even threw in my casting that were in their 20s. But, maybe they were more farm related, let's say. I don't know. But I got to really thinking about it. And for a lady, for one, if she, has a certain type of career, professional career, they can't just take off 6 weeks. Somebody has to have a special kind of job, and then still yet it would be even hard to do that on the show. So for one, a lady being able to take off 6 weeks, and then 2, if she has children and they're still in the house, 9 out of 10 of them might not, that motherly instinct, and not that say, Reba has a child, but she has a dynamic where she's like, look, this is really what I need. And the personality where like, I'm not even going to go there, but a lot of ladies are just like, no, I can't leave my child for that long. Or even if they have a family that can take care of their child, would they really want to leave that family dynamic and move? And so I think just based on the fact of having a career, and if their kids were out of the house, just not being able to take off that time, or not being able to leave their children, that's a lot, That's
no, man. I mean, that's a good point, man. Because the women out there who can actually get away from their, have somebody watch their kids for 6 weeks are probably few and far between, right? Probably not a lot of women out there that have, that type of childcare, or that type of, family connection where they can be like, hey mom, hey dad, hey brother, sister, somebody watch my kid for 6 weeks for me. So that's definitely a good point.
Yeah, it's a short amount of time, but it's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the best scenario would be maybe to find someone who doesn't have kids or something. They could still maybe find some older women like more in your ballpark or something. But like, how important is it, the kid situation to you? Is that a deal breaker?
Look, I say I'm open to having a child. Is that like what I want? No, not at all. But I mean, if somebody were to walk through the door and just knock my socks off, it's like, it'd just be that moment where I think you would know, like, okay, maybe so. I really doubt, you really think about it, but it's not really what I want, but I'd open to, like I said, I was open to it. It's just tough. Like it's a tough thing. It's one of those things where you just don't know if you really want to do that. And like I said, until you just meet somebody that you're just like, look, I don't think I could ever live without this person, and I'll do whatever it takes.
What is your like origin story? How'd you come about to be on this show? Did you apply? Did they find you? And then once they found you, like, how do they boil it down to the women that get on your farm?
So for me, last July, I was laying in bed at night, and it had, there's a couple, a lady was a friend with, and her husband I'm friends with, and she was probably one of the first, Western fashion influencers around. And casting had reached out to her and was like, "Hey, do you know of any cowboys or guys that would fit this deal?" And she'd messaged me. It was kind of funny because she was like, "Hey, random question, are you single?" And I was like, "Yeah." And because like I said, I know her and her husband really well, and she's like, "Well, this casting lady reached out and asked if I knew anybody." And she's like, "Yeah." I gave them your name, like you'd be the one. And the very next day, they called me, and I did a little 1 hour phone call, and then did a Zoom interview, and like that was my casting deal. Like I said, that was July, and I think it was probably September. Went through the process, and it was probably the very first of September when they actually sent the group of ladies that they had selected for me in casting. It was a long process.
Yeah, and like you have all these ladies kind of like living at your home during this. What was that like?
Well, fortunately for me, like I've got this house here, the modular home that I have, but then I have the original house that was part of my property, a little white house that I was able to move in and stay there. So typically, 10:30 every night, I would, go camp out over there and hang out. So I had my own space. So I say, the ladies being in here, they had their, little like bachelorette pad, and I had my own space over there. So it wasn't like I was constantly surrounding myself with them. If I wanted to be here, I could be here. Of course, we have talent wranglers, basically adult babysitters they're 12 hours. There was somebody that worked 12-hour day, and then like somebody was here for the 12 hours at night.
So like you're living in a little bit separate house, like right next to the main house, but like it seems like on this show you don't get much time to spend with these ladies, but it seems like there should be a lot of time if you guys are all co-located living together. Is there a lot of time you're actually spending with them that isn't on camera, or not so much?
Yeah. So the schedules, as far as the times that we would film every day, it was always rotating. So if we had a dinner one night, we might start at 10 in the morning because there were 12-hour days. So we started at 10 in the morning, so they'd have plenty of time to for we could do dinner and have a good night of that. But if we needed to start doing something early, say if we started at 7 in the morning, we would finish at 7 at night. So say if we finished at 7 or 8, everybody's gone, all production leaves, the talent wranglers here, and I might come over and we just hang out, watch a movie, just kind of all just chill. There's a little bit of conversation, just really that group dynamic, that we're just hanging out. Like it's almost like in that time frame, you're like, I was just one of the girls. They're kind of doing their thing, and we'd have our little conversations here and there. And you get to hang out and know somebody, but you don't really get to know them on that deep personal level, like say that you can. That's why kind of the solo dates are more important.
Yeah, do they kind of prohibit you from like going off and one-on-one talking or anything like that?
Yeah, you can't just go off and just hang out one-on-one together. Yes. Or if you did, you were really sneaky, which didn't really happen.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Because if they're really wanting deep connections to be made, you got to allow for that time, right? You got to allow people to be able to go off and have those conversations and establish those connections. So.
And I think too, like say for example, Taylor and Nathan, they did have that connection, and I don't know what their farm is like. And I don't know, everybody's farm's different because you have different people running all these things. You have production, you have management, you have art and creative. We've had a guy that's here, every day, health and safety, if something went wrong. So everybody has their own lanes, and everybody runs the show a little bit different on each farm. So I don't know what everybody else's farm is necessarily like. Mine was pretty strict, which is kind of funny. I'm 42 and, most of the time a rule follower, but not always.
Yeah. So for these solo dates, is this the producers kind of coming up for something for you guys to do, or how much say do you have in doing something?
They're always asking, what do you have an idea? Is there somewhere, what would you do, or where would you go? Do you have any suggestions? So like the first date with Melody, it was like, yeah, let's ride. It's like, okay, we'll ride around here. And then of course, like my tree that I have, that was kind of the staple of my place. That tree is like 13 foot around, and by measurements and the type of oak it is, it's like as old as Missouri. Right. So it's it's a beautiful tree. And so we had that. I actually cooked steaks under an open fire, and I'm not a cook at all. And so I was really disappointed they didn't show that because they were actually really good. It's like, I don't even grill much, but we did that. It was really fun. There was that date. And then the date with Amy was walking around town and going to Lambert's, which I kind of hated because that's not really something that I would just go do.
That seemed like a very cool restaurant, though. That was like, what, a huge salad, I think. I was like, good Lord.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, no kidding.
Lambert's is great. It's definitely a tourist destination, though. I mean, it's world renowned, to be honest. Like, it's a really cool place. But it just wasn't as intimate as the other dates. The setting for it.
Yeah, you got to do the picnic in the pickup truck. Come on now. Everybody knows that.
That's right.
Yeah. And so then with Megan and I, that place was right down the road, and I've taken a bunch of photographs there, done some photo shoots, and the light. It's a great place. The light's good. It's an intimate setting. We got to ride and hang out, and so like that was definitely what I suggested. And then with Ashleigh, we went to the River House winery, the River House, like a wine place. They don't have their own winery, but it's on the Mississippi River. I'm good friends with the couple that owns that place. And, that was a good time.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That looked cool because they had fireworks. And now they light fireworks, you two are together. Like, you got to kiss the girl during that, right? Did you feel pressure during that to try and get a kiss in there?
I mean, look, I got such deep pocketbooks. I was just throwing it out like, let's have a fireworks.
Did you organize that time?
Yeah. No, I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, shit. Yeah, it was a fun time with the fireworks, but not the most intimate setting, really. Like, let's get a kiss during the fireworks.
And there's a lot of discussion about getting a kiss on this show. It's season one there was a lot of talk about it. This season there's a lot of talk about it. How much pressure is there to like find someone and get that kiss going on?
It is a love story show, so they're always like, hey, boy, it'd be a good time for a kiss. And it's like, look, I don't roll that way, man. If it feels right, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, poor Nathan, I think it was like hurting to get one at one point.
I mean, he had to have a woman tell him to.
Little baby fox coming through in the end, though.
That's right.
I mean, this show is kind of nice because, other shows, they just like go at it. So, I mean, I really like the wholesomeness of this and how you guys deal with that, like covering up as you do often and stuff like that. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that first date with Melody, when I did that, like, not necessarily anything I would do, but when you're, that was the kind of the first day that we were all together in front of them cameras, and there was probably 25 people watching, between the cameras, people that were there, because it's kind of like one of those momentous type moments. And so I was like, I just take it off and snack, get a little kiss here.
Yeah, I was really rooting for you and Melody just because it seemed like an odd, matchup, but I guess she made it to the end, but I guess something wasn't there for you. So, I mean, she's a very pretty woman. Yeah,
and she's great. Her personality's great. She's fun. Her family was great. Even I kind of, you read things and people are like, oh, he seems a little uncomfortable in that, the hometown date with her. And I had a blast. I mean, her whole family was a hell of a good time. Whenever we went back and did promotion for the show and we were all in New York, we hollered at one of her brothers, and he works for MLB, and he took us around and showed me and Brandon. Everybody else was hanging out, but like Brandon and I went and got to hang out with him and her Melody's brother, and he showed us around, and we had a big time.
Cool. That was awesome too. Like the ice skating, and I mean, she seemed really good on the farmer stuff, especially when you guys were tagging things, I think, or whatever, and doing all that kind of stuff. She hopped right into it. Where Ashleigh was a little timid, I think, with the what were they?
The camels.
The camels, yeah.
Yeah, Melody and the camels, man. She was like, she's like, I got third eye chakra thing going on. She was like, I'm having a moment here.
Yeah, she seemed like a lot of fun in those scenarios.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that New York grit that she had. Like, whatever it is, I'm going to do it because I've probably done something worse, and that nurse dynamic of, anything that she's experienced. She's like, look, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to shy away from anything. And that's really cool. Like that confidence is very attractive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was cool.
So is there anything you would change about this show?
Is there anything I would change?
Yeah, anything you'd like to see? I mean, it was kind of cool, I thought, with the twist of bringing the girls in there, even though I'm sure that was really awkward, Ashleigh coming to your farm and trying to integrate with the rest of the women. That must have been, like, tough for her, so.
It's definitely that moment, I knew it was going to be difficult. I knew it was going to be, I had a feeling the way each lady would react, and I was pretty much spot on, and it was tough for her, right? But it's part of the show. And I think that they were good for doing that. Because you just never know. I mean, for me, I was attracted to her. Yeah. It just didn't work out. She had to get back and go to work. And, I was happy that she took a chance, even though she could only be gone for a handful, 10 or 12 days. She took a shot, so I commend her for doing that.
Yeah, because she definitely caught some hell from Brooke, man. That was I was like, damn, Brooke was not happy.
Yeah, she was not happy, and she didn't really want to talk about it much either. And I tried talking to her, and that was kind of one of those edits where they didn't show much on TV. So it is what it is.
Now the Brooke thing was a little odd, right? Because she comes to you and she says, "You need to send someone home," and you're like, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Happy to go.
I'm looking at her.
Thank you for stating the obvious.
So can you add any context to that kind of moment and how that went down?
Let's just say there was a lot of behind the scenes that went on, and that moment was called for.
Yeah, it was really, that I think is what turned people, because that was an awkward moment. Things were going good early on with Brooke, but there was some kind of disconnect during that episode where it seemed like you were dodging her, not really talking to her. She was trying to talk to you, at least what's portrayed on the screen thing.
But you talking about that one where she ended up leaving, or one before?
I think you guys were at the camp and she was trying to come to you and she's like, I want to talk to you. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Yep. And that was kind of a moment I didn't quite understand, and thought maybe something was supposed to happen and it didn't. So I just got to leave that there. But it was definitely whenever she came out to the barn that day, I was there expecting.
You're like, girl, you just read my mind.
Yeah, it was so cool that day. It was so cool. Did y'all see how red my nose was? It was 40 degrees and the wind was blowing, and she walks in the barn. I was like, damn, you were dressed to impress, but it's not going to happen here when I'm shoveling shit.
Yeah, that was interesting. So is there anything you'd like to see done different at all?
I could sit here and say I'd like for this to happen or that to happen, but it's TV and it was an experience. So nothing that I could do was in my hands other than, we all lived the experience. There's just a lot of it that they can kind of take and do what they want with. Am I disappointed the way that they portrayed me? No. Are there things that are definitely different about me in real life than what it looks like on TV? Yeah, absolutely. But in the same perspective of that, some people see what the situation one way, that I'm a really bad guy, and then other people see it in a way they're like, I totally saw what was going on. And I think that's just for everybody's viewing pleasure, whatever works for them.
Well, I commend you for having a good attitude. Billy here, he gave you hell, so if you want to say something to him, he's right here.
Yeah, at first I gave you...
Like I said, I was going to try to ride my donkey in here so I was at least I had an ass.
Oh no, but speaking about having somebody on, man, what'd your daughter think about the whole process, man? Because she seemed like she had a good time, and then, a little bit that it showed her.
I talked to her about coming on here earlier, but, we got a little windy here, and she's actually already gone to bed.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was good seeing Lennon being part of the process and stuff like that. Who was her favorite on the show?
Man, you're going to get me emotional here. Like I said, I think probably one of the greatest things for this, and she wasn't actually around a lot for the show because, and I learned this after the fact. TV, we're doing our thing, but they have, a schedule of episodes for days and stuff. So it was probably 2 weeks in, a week and a half before Lennon actually got to meet the ladies, because of course they didn't want her to meet the ladies before they actually got to meet her. but you know, to even experience that, and we got to have, you know, we got to do like the shots before the show ever started, and for me to get to experience all of those things with Lennon, even though it wasn't a whole lot, like to share that with her, and you know, someday to get to look back and know that, you know, we did that thing together and we did this, and it's a memory, it's a core memory that we'll always get to share, and like I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, hey, we appreciate you coming on, Ty. You got any? So, I mean, I guess last thing here, man. You got any special somebody now, or are you just still looking?
No. It's kind of it's crazy how this has worked, which is wild. Like even when they just introduced us for the show, I never really even thought about the things that would happen. The crazy DMs that we ended up getting just when they introduced us, like, hey, I don't know if this worked out for you. What do you got going on? Like, you know, you can knock on my door any day, and I'm sitting here looking at my phone like, what?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've had a few women comment on ours about you, man. Like, oh, yeah, Ty can come to me. So
yeah, it's either hot or cold, right? But
oh yeah,
it's kind of that thing. The reason why I did the show was to find somebody, because where I live, it's just far enough away from an airport that, you know, if somebody has a job or they need to travel or do those things, it's not just a 30-minute drive to the airport. And it's just not a place it looks great on TV, but it's a great place. It's my hometown, but there's other places that are just phenomenal. And this is kind of just a hometown, right? I guess it's the best way to say it. The logistics of it and to find somebody are difficult. And that's why I did the show. And anybody that I may have found, say if I was on a dating app, were far enough away that, you know, say if they had kids or if they were married and they have an ex-husband that's part of their kids' lives, like they can't just move.
Yeah.
And now with this show and everything, and you're perceived, all of us are perceived in a different light because we're on TV and we're still the same guys. And so those things that happened before, now you magnify that by 100, you know. And there's ladies that are, you know, DMing you like, hey, if you're ever here, if you're ever there. And it's just like, it's nice to read and it's nice to see, but it's just kind of like, it's a false hope, right? It's something that's really can't really probably turn into anything.
Well, there's somebody out there for you, brother. We're rooting for you, man.
Yeah. Thanks for sure. But, you know, the thing about it is I'm still a dad. I've still got my daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll always have each other. And you know, before too long, we're going to go on some sort of trip, and I'll probably take her to some of these places that I got to go and experience and let her, you know, do that with me.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate taking the time to talk with us, man. It's been great, and we wish you the best of luck. And hey, everybody, as always, you know, we love doing this for you. And this is season 2 down. Shit, you know, hopefully they'll get a season 3. Yeah, what you hear anything about that, Ty? They tell you guys they're going to do a season 3.
Yeah, it's on. It's full boat right now. Like they even did the cornwellcasting.com, you know, so it's an experience. If anybody out there thinks that they, you know, want to stick their neck out and try to find love, you know, look, we're batting 50, you know, we're batting 500 here on season 2 so far.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a hell of a batting average if you're in the National League. So.
Yeah, damn right. It is. Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, everybody. Well, hey, you know, if you want to chat with us, let us know what you thought about this last episode, or you know, I mean, I know Ty talks with us sometimes. Maybe you got some questions for him. And as always, hit that like, subscribe. We will check y'all at our next review.
Cowboy rides away.